The latest. Thank you for your love and support. I appreciate you. Or for decades, our leaders always solve the problem of the African in speech because they are good at talking and yet they do nothing. Because after moving away from wherever they have the meeting, it's like everything that they have discussed ends there. But Dangote of Nigeria has just lectured the leaders in Africa, made it clear to them that we are the ones that are providing jobs for other people. And the more they keep on exporting the raw materials, the more they keep on importing poverty. That they are the reason to which we are having poverty in Africa. Because if we are not producing anything, it means that the people will become poor. And the people we are exporting the raw materials into their countries are the ones that are now getting jobs to do. And at the end of the day, they bring this thing back into the continent and we pay a whole lot of money to buy it. Not that our leaders don't know that what they are doing is wrong, but the reason to which our leaders cannot just be on their feet and become leaders is the problem. Because why will you say that looking at what the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are doing isn't the right thing, and we still buy into the idea of what other people say concerning us in Africa? Please, if you haven't subscribe to become a member of the latest.gin.
What we need, first of all, is consistency in government policies. That's number one. And also the support of the governments here. Because, I mean, if you look at it really, what we lack in Africa is quite a lot. Because we're a continent of imports and we're not really exporting much. We export raw materials, which means when you export raw materials, you are exporting jobs. And when you import, you are importing poverty. Because you are creating jobs out there, not here in the continent. So I think with the support of the government, there's nothing that is impossible. And some of us were really tired of seeing our continent going out there to be begging for anything. I mean, if you remember at the beginning of the war between Ukraine and Russia, the chairman of African Union, that was President Macky Sall, had to go and be begging for fertilizers. And since that day, I said, okay, fine, by 2028, Africa will be self-sufficient in fertilizer. And we are doing that. We are opening 20 blending plants in areas where they don't have the capacity. Also, we are going to be at 12 million tons of urea. We are going to have massive potash and phosphate from Congo, Brazzaville. And we believe we will satisfy most of the demands of Africa. I mean, you look at it today, with population of Africa of 1.4 billion and also rising, right? We don't have raw material for detergent, just to wash this clothes, which we need every day. We don't have. We only have 2 factories, one Egypt, 50 tons, 100 tons in Algeria. So that's why we also launched now 400,000 metric tons of linear alkaline benzene, which is the 100% raw material of detergent. So we have quite a lot, of which before we don't have the capacity. But right now, with the likes of Afrexim Bank, with the likes of Africa Finance Corporation, with a lot of support from other financial institutions, following these two, there's nothing we cannot do in Africa. That's why we, as a group, we have now launched between now and 2030, we're investing $40 billion in various fields.
Is part of that the refinery?
Even now, I can give commitment to the 2 presidents that were here. If they will support the refinery, we'll build the identical one that we have in Nigeria, 650,000 barrels.
Wow. Wow. So the discussions are still early, though, but the 3 of you, it seems like you're trying to make this work.
It will work. There's nothing that can stop it. We have done the one in Nigeria, and that's why we're taking the bold move, which we have started already. Piling has started. We're building that one to a scale. 1.4 million barrels a day will give us will be the largest refinery in the world. That's number one. Number two, will have 10% of the entire United States of America's refining capacity. And this is coming with a lot of, petrochemicals. I mean, you look at it today in Nigeria, if not because we have polypropylene, all the plants, all the businesses would have collapsed because cement is packed in polypropylene, flour, rice, grains, everything. So nothing. And the cost now has shot up between just 45 days from $900 a ton to $3,000. There's no way you can afford it. So that is why we must learn how to build self-sufficiency. Right now, we have big financial institutions that are very hungry for big ticket items, and we are also big in terms of our own vision. You know, I mean, before, there's nothing that, any one of us will sit down and say, no, I want to build something like, I mean, when Samaila was heading our finance, long time ago, this was 2003, 2004, 2005, we were even paying 44% interest rate in Nigeria. We had to go to IFC to raise money. Was our first loan abroad was 478 million. And this thing can be done. 478 million, Samaila gave them a calculation that, okay, we need 3 years loan. They said, no, you guys, you don't know what you are talking about. You need 7 years. 2 years moratorium, 5 years payment. We said, okay, we agree because we are desperate for the money. When we took that money, we paid it back before the expiration of the moratorium, which is 18 months. 24 months, but we paid the money back in 18 months. So it is possible. Africans can do it. Let us not be scared. Let them not come and convince us that, no, somebody needs to carry our raw material to go and produce and bring the items here. I must really thank President of Uganda for taking this bold move. Stopping the export, they will be forced. They will come and produce. Why do you want to take the raw material, then you bring it back? We too, we have educated people. We have big financial institutions. It's not like before. Things have changed.
This is very good and very important. And we wish that our leaders who always talk but do nothing will learn. Look at what Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso leaders are doing. They have made it clear to us that as Africans, we cannot continue to be doing the same thing expecting different results. That is not going to happen. And Africans are good at always trying to do the same thing and expect something good to come out of it. Why should we allow other people to control our resources? It is not possible. Why should people make it in a way that everything that we have must be sent to them? And we sit here and all we do is to talk about the change, what we need to be doing, how people are oppressing us. Why won't people continue to oppress the African if the African is not ready to do something or to change? Change is constant, but Africans know. Look at what is happening in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso. The same things that African Union sit in the organization to talk for years and decades is what the leaders in Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso are doing. Yet, you still have these leaders sitting down, doing nothing, and still pointing fingers, looking at the bad things that are happening in Burkina Faso, as if the countries Mali, Niger, and Burkina Faso were not having these insurgencies. All of a sudden, these insurgencies started coming into their countries because military leaders are leading them. What about Nigeria that is led by a democratic leader? African Union has kept quiet. They can't talk about it. So for how long will we continue to be dancing to the songs of other people? How long will our leaders continue to be talking? How do you expect the African to be free when you, the leaders, are not ready to create that environment for your people? How can we be giving raw materials to people and be at the consumption side when the leaders also rise up in Africa saying that the African is capable of managing his own affairs? We still have these same leaders sitting there and looking and making it look as if what other leaders have seen and they are saying is not what we are supposed to be doing. But when these same people meet, it's the same songs they sing. Why are you always singing but not adding the dancing? Because we need you to move your body a bit and not to always talk. We export these resources, and that is how they are feeding their industries. And that is how come other people are getting things to do in these people's countries. Yet African leaders will always talk. Look at what is happening. Look at the amount of money we are wasting important things into Africa. Yet the African is the one feeding these people with all that it takes. And they come for the resources very cheap, and we have to spend more than 3-4 times of what we have sold our resources to get back what we need. Why can't we empower ourselves? Nobody will come and do anything for us in Africa. If we are not ready to change the narrative, we should start believing in ourselves, because what our leaders always do is to create the narrative that there's nothing we can do. And that is why before we do anything, we have to be calling on experts from other countries to come into Africa, to come and do this for us, do A for us, do B for us. So at the end of the day, what message are we sending to the African child? Indirectly, we are telling the children that there's nothing we can do. We all grew up believing that when it comes to TV, when it comes to this, as for the white person, they have knowledge, they can do this, they can do that, because that is what we see, and everything we see is coming from them. So the narrative is already in the child growing up that I have nothing to offer and there's nothing I can do. So until we change the narrative, empowering ourselves and making sure whatever that we need we produce, we'll continue to be treated inferior. And we need leaders who will do the work rather than the talk. United we stand, divided we fall. And united we keep standing forever and ever. The greatest enemy of the African is mental slavery. So let's decolonize ourselves from mental slavery. Let's keep sharing to educate our brothers and sisters. Together we'll make Africa great for ourselves and the next generations that are going to come. So that's the latest around the world. In Africa, East Africa, in Kenya,